Okay, everybody, I'm going to tell the story. And I'm sorry it's a long story, but it's gone on for 7.5 months. So I don't embellish anything. I only tell 100% truth. I do not like drama. You will never see me create drama at all. Backstory, I was raised by spent summers with a severe alcoholic mother, and she created enough drama for me to last a lifetime with physical abuse, verbal abuse, and on and on. So you will never see me start anything with anybody. But on the other hand, if somebody wants to fuck around and find out, I have a pit bull that lays right below the surface that I keep hidden and comes out for only very special occasions. So that's what's happening right now. So I need to tell you guys how this all went down. If you kept up with my Facebook, Bentley dropped the ball. Bentley the Unmerciful, who said he was going to fix my car, and he was going to start a customizing business because his heavy equipment business was breaking his body down, and he said he wanted his son to take over that business. And so he wanted to restyle my car, and he made a list of all the things we could do to it. It sounded great. He told me how bad Modesto Customs had done my work, and that was a $60,000 job. We had to remortgage our house to get that car out of there after 22 months. And that's when the airbag exploded in the trailer, and I hadn't even really driven the car except for 4 indoor shows, just on and off the trailer. So anyway, just to cut to the chase on that, it was Bentley said he would, he goes, I've got a proposition. He goes, I'm going to use you and you can use me. I won't charge you for labor. He said, I'll just, you guys just buy the parts and I'll come and work on the car in your shop. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And he goes, I'm going to get business cards made up. And he made ink pens with my car on it. He goes, your car's so well known, I'm going to go with you to the shows and I'm going to network off of your car and build my customizing business. So he tore my car down in November, and he came to work on it maybe 6 times for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. And my car was not done. It didn't get finished. I told him 6 weeks before Portland Roadster Show, hey, it's getting 6 weeks out. I said, the car's still apart. And he told me I'm worried too much and that just leave it to him and he was going to take care of everything. Well, up until the day before Portland Roadster Show, my move-in, then he tells me that I was going to be going, and we reserved a kennel for our dogs, the hotel, the entry fees, all of the things. And Bentley went ahead and called, he messaged that morning, the day before. He said he was 8 a.m., he was headed our way. He never showed up. I was out delivering Walmart groceries, and Steve got home from work about 3:30, and he said, where the hell is Bentley? I said, you mean he's not there? And he said, no. And so when I came in the door, Steve was on the phone with him, and he's telling Steve that how we're not going to be able to make the Portland Roadster Show. So I made a post about it because that's what I do. If you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. But if you want to fuck with me, it's on. That's it. Basically, it's just black and white. So I blocked Bentley from my Facebook. I blocked him from my phone, and I was done. And so, let's see. So I get to Portland. I made a post on Facebook about it and said I was going to Portland Roadster Show. You can see the post on my Facebook. But I was going without my car. And I basically said, why? And so we got to Portland Roadster Show. And Jeff Ailes, I think his name is Ayles. I don't know what his last name is. Jeff Ailes and Jimmy Adams come up to me. I thought he was always Jerry Logan's mechanic, but he's the transportation guy, and Jimmy Adams is Jerry Logan's mechanic. And I want to preface this by saying that Jerry Logan is a straight up, legit, honest guy. He's very nice. And this has nothing to do with Jerry Logan whatsoever. So I just want to make that clear. I think Jerry's a great guy. And so Jeff works for Jerry, and he's set up the museum for him and all that because he's got over 100 museum quality cars. and it's very impressive. And so Jeff came up to me, and he's got this guy with him that I've never even seen before. And he goes, "Hey, I saw your post on Facebook about your car not being here." And Jimmy's like, "Yeah," he goes, "I've been following all the stuff going on with your car." He goes, "We just need to get your car fixed and get you back on the road and get you back on the show circuit." I said, "Well, who are you?" And he said, he goes, I'm Jerry Logan's mechanic." And I said, "Oh, I thought Jeff was the mechanic." And he goes, "No, I do." He goes, "I work at a dealership Monday through Friday, but I do Jerry Logan's mechanical stuff in the weekends and on the evening and weekends." So he seemed like a really nice guy, and he was really concerned about how shitty my Modesto Customs and Bentley, the Merciful experience, has been. So he went ahead and said how he wanted to help me. And he asked my husband what all needed to still be done, and it wasn't much. But we went ahead and told him, and he said, "Just put me up in a hotel for 2 days. I'll come," he goes, "I'll come and get your car. I'll fix it in your shop, and I'll get that car out in 2 days and get you back on the show circuit." "Oh, okay, that's great. Okay, awesome. And don't worry about the money." I said, "We don't have a lot of money to invest in this. We've given Bentley $7,500, and he never even gave me back my dash with the Merc gauges in it at all. So Steve had to buy a whole nother Merc dash." And so I think that was on Friday, the first day of the show, or maybe it was Thursday because it was move-in day. So on Friday, I had come up, and Jeff had been speaking with Steve, my husband, and he kind of walked away after a while, and I said, "What was that about?" And he goes, "Oh, he wants to buy my Super Bee." I said, "You told him it's not for sale, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "How much did he offer you?" He said, $15,000. It's a clone Super Bee. It's a 69 Coronet, but it's a clone Super Bee. But I bought it for Steve 13 years ago at Christmas, and then we paid it off over 4 years. We're not rich. We live paycheck to paycheck like most people. So the next day, we went on a tour. We were invited on a private tour by Jerry Logan. There was about 15 people on the tour. And when you go into Jerry's car barn, there's 2 engines on stands, and on each side of the doorway when you walk in. So, my hair looks crazy. I'm out walking in a field. I'll show you. Gene Winfield's car show is over, so I'm just walking around out here. It's kind of quiet. So anyway, Steve had just a very casual conversation with Jeff. Steve and I kind of split up. Steve went to go take photos of Jerry's cars, and I wanted to just shoot video. And so we kind of went our separate ways. And I guess at some point, Steve had asked Jeff, he said, "Hey, that Shelby engine up there, do you think Jerry would sell that?" And Jeff goes, "Oh, hell yeah, he's got quadruple of everything. Everything's for sale. He's got 4 warehouses full of stuff, blah, blah, blah." That was the extent of the conversation about that engine. So we get through the weekend, and it was breaking my heart to be at Portland Roadster Show without my car, but I went ahead and suffered through it. We lost $800 on our dog kennel boarding because it was too late to cancel the kennel. It was too late to cancel the hotel. And so that trip was probably $2,500 to $3,000. And so we get to loading up our, I think we were just packing our stuff out, and then Jeff comes up to Steve and he said, he goes, $20,000, that's my final offer. And Steve goes, "No." I go, "Jeff, that car's not for sale. We don't want to sell that car. That's his car. He's got 1 car, I have 1 car, that's it." And he kind of just walked away, kind of in a huff, but whatever. I said, "We'll let you know. You can be the first one to know when we get ready to sell it." So I think it was about 6 weeks later that Jimmy finally found a weekend that he could come and work on my car. So we reserved the best hotel in Monroe, Washington for him. And he calls Steve on a Friday afternoon. He says, "We're just leaving Portland and we should be there in a few hours." And Steve goes, "Do you have a forklift?" And Steve goes, "No." he goes, do you have a cherry picker? And Steve goes, yeah. So so I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I haven't had much sleep last night, so I'm really not all here right now, so I'm sorry. Steve, he goes, what do you mean we? Who's we? And Jimmy goes, oh, Jeff's coming with me. And then I forget the other guy's name. He's Jerry Logan's painter. I thought his name was Joe or Ed or something. I know he was pretty quiet. But anyway, Steve goes, well, I've only reserved the room for you. And he goes, oh, we'll work it out with the hotel. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out when we get there. So I said, why is he asking you for a forklift? He goes, I have no idea. So I went ahead and waited for them to get there. And they got there Friday night about 7 o'clock or so. I don't know. I think it was 7 or so. And they went out to our shop and out to my car, which was up on the lift, and proceeded to look at everything. And basically, I've got a video of Jimmy pointing out all the things that Bentley had done wrong and saying, this car's going to burn up within the first 50 miles you drive it. This isn't grounded. That's not crimped. Look at this joke alternator setup. It was just, everything was, fuel pump was wrong. Everything was wrong. And so he's like, oh, this is way more work than I can do here this weekend. We're going to have to take this car back to Jerry's in Oregon. And so I said, well, we don't have a lot of money to do this. I mean, we don't have that kind of money. And he goes, oh, yeah, just don't worry about all that. We'll figure all that out later. And so that was Friday night. Saturday morning, I came out, and Jeff and Jimmy had come into the shop with the third guy, whatever his name was. And they were talking about Steve Superbee. And I kind of put two and two together. And I said, wait, what are you talking about? And Steve goes, I'm just going to trade the Superbee for the work that they got to do on your car. And I had a fucking meltdown. I started crying. I was yelling in front of all these guys, these three guys and Steve. That's not going to happen. I said, this car is not part of this deal. And I had, it was a meltdown on steroids, trust me. And Steve looks at me and he goes, I haven't driven it for 6 years. I said, that's because you've been putting all the money in my Zephyr. And I said, we're just at the end now, and now you can fix your car up. And so Steve just kind of was dejected, and he just wanted to get my car fixed right, and he thought this was the only way that we could do it since we don't have money. And so I was super upset. I left to go deliver Walmart groceries, and I literally cried for the next 9 hours and felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. So these motherfuckers immediately, when all this was going, Steve went ahead and gave Jeff the title. He said he didn't sign it, but he gave him that title. And they took my trailer, because they didn't come with a trailer, and they hooked up to my trailer, and they loaded Steve Superbee, and they headed hot-footed right back to Boring, Oregon with my husband's car, and said they'd be back for the Zephyr. And they did a turn and burn, and they came back that same night around 10 o'clock at night. And now this time they've got Jerry's 3-car trailer. I think they had to go get some parts or a car up in Canada after me, I think. I'm not sure. But anyway, I got home and I was still crying, and I told Steve, I yelled at Steve. I mean, I said, those fuckers are probably high-fiving themselves all the way back to Oregon. Why did you give them your car? And he goes, I don't know what else to do. We need to get the Zephyr fixed right. And these are the guys to do it, because Jerry Logan is a top-level car guy. And Steve thought for sure that these guys would be the ones to do everything right. So, sorry, I have a hard time looking at the lens, looking into the lens. So I kind of just look up and make sure I'm not falling in a hole. So I'm not looking into the lens of the camera. I'm in a field. I already told you guys that. So anyway, they come back the next day for my Zephyr. And I don't even think I need to back up just a little bit, because when I had my meltdown and started screaming when Steve was going to say that it was done deal with the Super Bee, Jimmy said, we don't need your work. We don't need any work. He goes, let's go, Jeff. You know, he starts picking up his tools. We don't need to do this job. You can find somebody else to fix your car. So that just threw another wrench into everything, I guess you could say. So I'm sure this was the plan all along. Anyway, to make a long story short, I'm going to post all of the text messages from Jimmy telling me my car was going to be ready for the last 7.5 months. He strung me along all summer. I missed about 8 shows. I didn't do one show all summer. He told me the car would be ready for Gene Winfield's show, and he promised. And I kept asking him, you know, is it ready? And it was never done. Every time I get ready to go to a show that he had told me it would be ready for, oh, it's not done yet. I want it to be perfect, is what he would say. And I asked him if I could come and see the car about 5 weeks ago, and he told me, oh no, I don't want you, no peeking. I've got the text messages, no peeking. You'll see it when you get here. It's amazing. So he hasn't even put the gauges in it. He ordered some other gauges 2 weeks ago, I guess. After 7.5 months, he ordered the gauges, and the parts had come in the Saturday that I left Monroe, which was a week ago Saturday. So I'm staying at my sister's house in Modesto, and for 5 days. I was staying there for 5 days. And Jimmy said, I'm coming to Modesto to your sister's. I'm going to finish the car there. Because he said the parts came in on Monday. And so he never came on Monday. He didn't come on Tuesday. He didn't come on Wednesday. There was a snowstorm on the Siskiyou Summit, and they closed I-5 for about 10 hours, I think. But on Thursday, it was clear. The road was clear. But he told Steve in the morning. Steve said, what's the plan? He texted him. And Jimmy said, oh, I'm just leaving here shortly. Well, he never showed up. He never showed up at my sister's. He never called or texted either Steve or I to let us know he wasn't coming. So I get to the show, and you guys saw my car. The air ride isn't working. We have to blow up the back of it with a compressor. All the gauges are out. I mean, it's a mess. And so in the meantime, Steve has sent $10,500, I think, through Venmo, because I had gone shortly after the Portland show. The Medford, Oregon show was next, and I had gone to that show specifically to ask Jeff. I cried. I begged them, please let me have Steve's car back. We will pay you whatever we need to pay you. If it takes 6 months, so be it. But Steve's car needs to come back home to us. And Jeff goes, oh, I didn't think it was a big deal. It's just a car. I said, well, it's just a car to you, not to us. I said, he only has one car. I only have one car. And he goes, okay, I'll give it back. So in the meantime, they left that engine with Steve. And actually, it ended up not even being the engine that Steve had asked about. It was some other engine. And so a few weeks later, Steve sold the engine on eBay for $10,000. And so Jeff said he wanted $10,000 to get the Super Bee back, which was fair for me. I'm like, okay. So we've been trying to save up that money to get the Super Bee back, and they've been telling me all along. I went 4 different times to go pick up the Super Bee, and every time I got ready to leave, they said Jeff's dog died one day. Another time, Jerry Logan was in the hospital. Another time, Jeff's other dog died. And I even messaged Jimmy, and I said, you've already used that excuse. His dog died earlier. And he goes, oh, he has 2 dogs. So anyway, that's kind of what's gone on. And they've strung me along for 7.5 months. And we found out last night that Steve was trying to get a hold of Jimmy and telling him that I was going to pick up the Super Bee on my way back home, because I'm leaving the Zephyr here in California and going back home with an empty trailer. And so they finally had to tell us that Jeff actually sold Steve's car in August. Yeah, he sold Steve's car. So he said he doesn't have the car anymore. And I just found this out last night. So I have been kicked in the gut, and Jimmy threatened me. I messaged him and I told him I was going to put everything on Facebook, and I am. And he told me, if you try to drag my name through the dirt, I'm going to sue you. I said, go ahead. I said, everything I'm going to tell is 100% true. So you guys know all the story. Right now it's getting dark, so I don't have time to attach all these text messages from Jimmy, but I am going to attach them to this post later. But I just wanted to put this out here, and I don't know what kind of lies that they're going to tell, but that's how this all went down. So they not only had Steve's car and got the money for that, the $10,500 that we've sent, as well as the $1,000. Jeff said he wanted $1,000 in July. He told Steve, I need $1,000 to hold this car for you. And so Steve sent $1,000, and now they're saying that Jeff never got the money. So these guys are scumbags at a top level. And I'm sorry that Jerry Logan is associating with, pieces of shit like this. So anyway, there's been some people, there's a handful of people in my inner circle that have known what's gone on. They've kept quiet, and I appreciate the support and the privacy. But there's probably 10 people that I've told as this unfolded and how they had Steve's car. So thank you for not putting it out there, but I am putting it out there now because now they've gotten rid of Steve's car. And I hope I can scrape together money for an attorney. I don't really know how this is going to end, but at least I've got this out here and everybody's going to know what happened. So that's it. I'm not a happy camper. I'm super sad. I have met every scumbag that is in this business through trying to get work done on this car. And I don't know how people like this sleep at night, do this to people and can sleep at night. I truly don't. I don't know what happened to honesty and integrity, but apparently it's non-existent. And I can't trust anybody with this car anymore. So that's it. You guys know the story. This is a 21-minute video, so I'm sorry for the length, but I had to get the whole thing out there so you guys knew the big picture. So I love you, and we'll talk soon. Love you. Bye.